Hello, Pinsky here, and today we're going to be making these wooden butterfly knives. Since they don't have a real blade, they work really well as trainer butterfly knives and are great for beginners. The first thing you'll need are at least 15 inches of paint stirring sticks. You can get these at Menards or Home Depot. Next, you'll need 2 nails or screws. Now, it's important for the length of the screws to be at least 3 times the thickness of the paint stirring sticks, so that when you put it all together, the screws don't come out too short. You'll also need 4 flat washers. Now, make sure that the eye of the washer is big enough to fit the nail or screw. And finally, you'll need a toothpick. The first tool you'll need for this project is a drill. Now, you can use a manual drill or an electric drill. I'm using an electric drill, but it's up to you. Now, the drill bit has to be the same thickness or at least a little bit thicker than the nail you're using, and that is really important for this to work. The next tool you need is a small tooth saw. You can use an electric or manual saw, it's up to you. You will also need a hot glue gun, a ruler that's in inches, and a writing utensil. Optional items include sandpaper or a file for smoothing out any rough edges, various tapes for decorating your knife at the end, and a wood burner for any designs you may want to put on it. The first step is to measure out 5 inches on the paint stirring stick and place the mark at the 5-inch mark. The next step is to measure out the width of the painting stick. You're going to want yours at about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. Once you measure that out, mark it off on the painting stick. Once you have your 2 points made, you have to take your ruler and draw a straight line from the bottom point to the top point. Once you reach the top point, stop and draw a horizontal line connecting your previous line and the top point, just like so. Next, you'll take your saw and cut along the lines you've just made. Your end result should look something like this. Now, this should be your template. You're going to cut out 3 more of these, following the first previous steps. Once you have your 4 pieces done, you need to line them up and drill a small hole so that the nail can fit through them. As you can see, I already did this, and I also rounded off the top of them. Once you have drilled your holes, you're ready to make the blade. First, take another paint stirrer stick and measure out between 4 to 4.5 inches. I put it at 4 inches just to be on the safe side. Next, draw a horizontal line across the stick. This section right here will be where your blade will be drawn. The next step is to draw a point at 1.5 inches and draw another horizontal line across the stick. Once you have that done, you're going to take 2 of the pieces that you made earlier and pinch it over the wood you just measured. The part under the line is the hinge, and the part above the line to the next line right here is where the blade will be. Next, take the other 2 pieces and pinch it over the wood like you did with the other piece. Then, take your writing utensil and mark off on the side of the blade where the 2 holes are on the handles. Next, create a dotted line over the wood from the one point on one side to the other point on the other side. After that, take your 4 pieces from before and line them up on the bottom of the piece of wood. Then, mark where the hole is on the 4 pieces of wood for each side, like so. Next, we need to make the tang pin marks. To do this, we need to place a mark right in between the 2 dots we've just made, near the bottom of the wood. We also need to place another mark near the hinge line, which is near the top. And it still has to be in between those 2 dots. Next, you need to take your drill and drill in a hole for every mark you made. Like so. Once you're done drilling the holes, it will look something like this. You'll have 4 holes where the hinge should be. After that, we need to draw in the blade. The blade will go from the hinge line right above the top tang pin to the other top line we made where the marker is right now. Next, draw on your blade. You can draw on your blade however you want, but make sure they stay in between the 2 lines. As you can see, my blade doesn't look too great, but you get the idea. Once you have that done, you draw out your hinge lines. Once you have all your lines drawn out, you're going to cut out your blade. Cut out along this line and the hinge lines you just drew. Except, make sure not to cut this line. Once you have cut out the blade, you need to take some extra wood from the steering sticks and cut out 2 small pieces that are about 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, shown here. Then, you have to glue it to the bottom of 2 of the 4 parts, like so. This is where the hot glue gun comes in. When you're done, you can file the sides to make sure it's flush with the handles. Now that you've assembled your 2 arms, you need to take 2 washers, a screw, and the blade you just cut out. Now, take the screw and place it through one hole of one of the arms, and then place a washer on top of it, like so. Then, take your blade and push the screw through the other hole in the blade. Then, place another washer on top of this protruding screw. And finally, place the rest of the screw through the last hole on the arm. And that is your assembled arm. Now just repeat with your other side. Now you need to take your hot glue gun and hot glue the protruding tip of the nail so that it stays in place. Make sure not to put too much glue on. Now you need to make your tang pins. You need to take your toothpick and split it at about 1 inch. You need to make 2 of these. Okay, I already have this part done, but basically, you will take your toothpick that you just broke apart, and you'll insert it in that hole, so it will stick out like this. Then you'll hot glue gun it in place. You will also do it with the bottom tang pin hole, so like that. Now you are basically done, and you've finished your knife. You can add details by burning in marks, like so, in the wood, like I did. Or you could add tape, or smooth out the edges, and do whatever you like. But basically, you're done. Thanks for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe.